ma se resume ritual.
Don't forget their gift cards at RitaYanez.com, and so am I. Hi there, Virgo. This is your weekly reading for the week of December 14th through 20th. I hope you're doing well, you're feeling great, you're feeling good, ready for the holidays, everything going your way. The card that you drawn for Monday is a Page of Cups in reverse, and this could just indicate that there are some little twists and turns in a situation that might be emotionally related, and it could just be that some totally random, unexpected energy just pops up. Now, it could be that this energy is linked to a few of the major aspects that we're still working with this week, so we'll keep that in mind as we move along. I do want to tell you that the Sun in Sagittarius is squaring Jupiter in Virgo. So Sagittarius being your solar fourth house of home, family, foundation, and everything that is the solid rock where you lay your head down at night, physically and figuratively speaking. And Jupiter in Virgo being your solar first house, of course, that there is the idea that there needs to be a realization, if not self-actualization, about just what are your limits in how far you will go to do for others things that they could be doing for themselves. So you know that this is typically a problem that we encounter when we've got kids that don't keep their rooms tidy or they can't keep their grades up and we're struggling and we're trying to figure out what is it? Is it just laziness or do they have a learning disability? What is going on? So this could also be related to other people in your house and they could be adults and they don't have to necessarily be children and you're feeling like somehow there is this thing that is just welling up in your chest and in any minute you feel like you're going to blow like el bufador and you're just going to let it go. So just make sure that you keep an eye on how you feel and that if there is a sensitive communication that needs to take place, maybe you can create a written communique, maybe an email, maybe it can be a typed letter where there is no denying or disputing what's written, so you have to be careful about what you commit, and that you're able to say, hey, look, I love you and everything, but when you leave your dishes everywhere and you've cooked your meal and don't clean up after yourself, then I have to clean up before I come home. And here I'm ready to cook dinner and you've left a mess. So sometimes we just have to be careful about the words we choose. Only you would know what it is that needs to be communicated. But there could be kind of an emotional entanglement here. I would imagine that this would be kind of like the surprise when you find out that so-and-so is having a baby and they're 16 and you're like, geez, we're hoping that we can get them to be about 35 years old before that happens. And, there could be surprises that are somewhat disruptive. The square challenges us to try to figure out how do we say what needs to be said without pissing everybody off. Mercury and Capricorn sextiles Neptune and Pluto. So for you, Capricorn being your solar fifth house of romance, creativity, children, the family home, the people in it, how they interact with each other, of course, probably frightens you because I said children again and children's children and pregnancy. We don't want it. I mean, you just have to stay on your kids and make sure that you've set the right example to understand that they need to watch you practicing this and that portraying yourself as, hey, look, I had two kids at 16 and I'm fine. Maybe that's really not the best thing to say. It reminds me of an old Reader's Digest article that was a damn it to make the point that just because you've had a very drug life doesn't mean you need to tell your kids about it. All they're going to do is jump on that thing and run with it, where maybe the best thing is to say, we don't tolerate this. Did you ever do drugs? Even if I did, do you think I'd tell you? No, I haven't. A little white lie, keep everybody calm, and you'll see how easy this smooths over. I don't expect it to be anything difficult. I think that it could be a little bit of a surprise expense. It could be a financial squeeze for you, but it seems to relieve itself, no pun intended, very quickly. On Tuesday, we've got the Knight of Swords in reverse, and this is a card that indicates you are feeling, again, like you wish you could just stand up and say, you know what your problem is you're a fat ass. I'm just kidding, but where a person is just sitting there and they're not helping, that's the kind of energy that we have. It could be your grandpa and his giant bum on the recliner, and he won't get off. And you're like, look, I know you can move because I've seen you haul ass when the Pop-Tarts come out of the toaster, and yet you can't even get up when it's time to do any of the chores. And so this could be where you want to communicate something, and again, the universe is asking you to be very selective with your words to make sure that you communicate without deconstructing matters and making them worse. It is what it is. Deal with it in its present form, in whatever way it's manifest in. And of course, if this is a major concern, like they keep falling asleep smoking in bed or something crazy, obviously you've got a bigger problem. okay? Like maybe you need to install a smoke detector in their ass. But if that isn't the case, just make sure that even if you feel you have to defend yourself, that you consider that Mars in Libra is still challenged by Uranus and Aries. And these are where we could have discussions and maybe some disputes over finances, or somebody's got an unexpected expense. And it could even be a mixed blessing where a legacy is left to someone and now everybody wants a piece of that. So just make sure that you're aware of what the issues are and what the expectancy is in terms of if people want or expect a certain thing or a certain response, or if they have expectations of certain things going a certain way for them. You might want to do a little sleuth work in the background, which you're good at, to make sure that you understand where they're coming from before you bring a proposition to the table. And on Wednesday, we have the Temperance card in reverse. This is a card that indicates that things are not flowing properly, don't you know? I think that it's a matter of an excretory function, and look, sooner or later, somebody's got to take a dump in the bath, and, you know, they'll get it out of their system, and you will too. This too shall pass, pun intended. So this is where you really need to focus on what is the part that is difficult to blend. Is it that you have a spouse who spends like money's going out of style? Do you have a freeloading child who's not in college and he's not even in high school? Do you have an issue with a family member that has become dependent on you for life, limb, body, and soul? And part of the realization must needs be that this has been created by someone, and it probably was either created or facilitated by you. I'm not saying that that's the case it's going to be with everybody, but I do know that there are a few individuals that are going to experience it this way just because it's a very obvious path of least resistance and where the major correction needs to be had. I would call it like 70-30. 30% of you are going to have that challenge with children in the home, and maybe another percentage on top of it. Let's just say another 10%, so 40% having an adult in the home, whatever constitutes an adult to you, leaving a 60% where it's going to be anything else, and maybe just a battle of the wits over which way the toilet paper hangs, which of course we all know is supposed to be over the top. On Thursday, we've got the Queen of Pentacles, and this is a person who could very well be an earth sign, so she could be Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, or those rising signs, or she could just be the money woman, or somebody who's got dark hair, fair skin, and or pentacles. You know, maybe she's got a bunny. This is a person who's very practical, and if you need good, practical, solid advice, this is the person to get it from. So hopefully this is the way you're feeling, especially if you're a female, and if you're a male, it could be that this person is in your realm for you to talk to. This could even be a sister, somebody that you're related to that could give you some good advice. And don't worry about whether or not she is somebody who has an interest, because she doesn't. This is a person who doesn't need anybody's anything, and she'll tell you so. On Friday, we've got the Page of Wands, and this is a card that indicates a level of good news, maybe some surprising energy, much better than that fish in a cup that's falling to the ground for everyone to trample. No fish were hurt in the filming of this video. So we also have the Sun in Sagittarius squaring that Jupiter and Virgo energy that doesn't just truncate. So remember, whatever news you hear, don't let it get too far out of proportion, because maybe it's some exciting news for an exciting business opportunity and you're so excited, and then you find out that it really wasn't as exciting as you thought it'd be, and you got your hopes up, or other people you told, and now you're a little embarrassed. It's the same energy that you can work through by employing your Venus and Scorpio sextiling Pluto and Capricorn, which for you is your solar third house of communication. If somebody's trying to sell you a case of ShamWow, all you have to do is very politely, sweetly say that you don't have any new reason for more or another case of ShamWow, because you're trying to figure out what to do with the last case that you bought from somebody. That's the easiest way to move people right along, and it's the same kind of energy. Now, it could be that there's a relative trying to sell you another case of ShamWow, and that is a little trickier, but honesty is the best policy. If you've got a situation where you need to talk your way in or out of, and usually with this kind of an influence, it's going to be talking yourself out of a situation, try to use as much tact and diplomacy as possible. On Saturday, we have the Magician card, and this is a card that indicates you have the power and the ability, the wherewithal, the wisdom, and the skills to do things, to transform your life, to create it in a way that's more pleasing, soothing, and prosperous for yourself. It can be that you need to work on your health. That's an issue that will come up from time to time. It's really not a pressing issue at this time, but we do have some surprises that could show up with Uranus and Aries, so make sure that you've not neglected dental work, that you've not neglected anything that has to do with, let's see, surgery on any of those areas, which really Aries relates to the head. Taurus will usually relate to ear, nose, and throat issues, but the two of them combined, of course, sometimes they're hard to separate. But there could be an issue that might require excising something, like removing a tooth, removing an abscess, working with the mouth cavity and with the tissues therein. And just know that that's just a little heads up, because the 8th house is the house of surgery as well. And we want to make sure that you're taking good care of yourself and being proactive in that way. Also, we have the King of Pentacles. Here comes the counterpart to the Queen. So the King of Pentacles is probably an earth sign. Again, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, or one of the rising signs, or just somebody who's got the money. This could be the CPA, the tax attorney, the person licensed to represent you in front of the IRS. This could be your tax advisor, your investment broker, your hedge fund master, whoever it is that's helping you with these great sums of money. And on a level of practical advice, again, this person could offer it to you. So obviously, since I only know of 2 genders, really, truly, I think I could get very complex in this strange discussion, and I refuse to. I know there are men, I know there are women, I don't care how you got that way. If that's what you are, that's what you say. So we have the opportunity here for a perfect pairing of individuals that, whether they are business partners or could be, or whether they should or shouldn't be, really is irrelevant, because the thing they're both good at is being practical and grounded and giving very safe, sane, and stable advice. We want to keep in mind that Mercury conjunct Pluto is still in effect here, and Capricorn is still the 5th house. So don't get ahead of yourself in terms of trying to dig out, you met this chick online, and there you are digging all night long trying to figure out every variation of her name all over the contiguous 50 states and in a few other continents. That's probably getting ahead of yourself and taking things a little too far. Let yourself get to know that person without any extraneous pressure, including your own. And also, we keep in mind that, of course, we've got Mars and Libra totally opposing Aries, hosting Uranus, and this in the 8th house could prove for transformation that may be a little uncomfortable, but so are other things like cavities and hemorrhoids until somebody solves them. I think you're going to do great. I want to wish you a happy holiday week again, and have a good time adjusting in whatever way you need.